Hi, and welcome to a new video of this MOOC. In this video, we are going to finish the implementation of our tic-tac-toe simple page application. This is a very simple video in which we are just going to include some CSS style sheets in our components in order to prettify our application and to provide to it a style like the one you can see in this slide. So I'm going to include the CSS classes that I have defined before in the application, index, game, and square components. So as you can see here, I have already created for these four components some classes in order to define the styles. So I'm going to include this code in the corresponding CSS files of each component. In some cases, I will need also to include some identifiers to the tags I have in the templates. So let's start with the application component in which, as you can see here, I have just defined some styles for the navigation bar. So I'm going to copy this, and here in the application component CSS file, I'm going to paste the code. In this case, the nav and the links are already created, so I have not to modify the HTML. If I go to the application, you can see how this, with these changes, I have applied this style to the navigation bar and to the different links in the navigation bar. The next component is the index component, in which I will copy some code in order to prettify the welcome message we can see in the index component. So going to the CSS file of the index component, I'm going to paste this code here. But I need to include this class name to the main div because this is not set yet. So I'm going to modify also the HTML in order to include here a class with the front body identifier. Now, as you can see in the application, I have this front page message that is just an example of how to include here some styling to the welcome message. Now, the next thing I'm going to modify is the game component, and in this case, you can see how I have included styles for the form, for the inputs, and also for the loader. In case of the loader, I have included a dynamic icon, so I need to include again this class name to the loader. And also, I will change in the game component the text in order to just show an icon when the state of the application is being retrieved from the backend service. So here I include a class, the loader class, and I'm going to copy the code to the game component CSS file. So in this case, if I go to the application and go to new game, you can see how the form has been prettified and also how, if I click on continue, you can see in this better interface for indicating the user that the saved game is being retrieved from a backend service. The last thing I'm going to do is to change the CSS of these buttons in order to also add some style to the squares of the board of our game. So I have here some extra styles for the buttons that we have already defined in the square component. So if I go to the CSS file, I can include here the background color, the border radius, etc., in order to prettify the buttons. Again, if I go to the interface and I continue again, you can see how we have put some better styles to the squares of our game. Of course, if I use the new game, I also have this the same interface here with the changes I have applied to the CSS. Okay, so that's all for this very easy video, but take into account that it is also very important how the user see the user interface, so how our application has the CSS implementation in order to develop our Angular applications. So that's all for this video, and see you in the next one. Bye.